than do the standard vlog where you see my face reading this or talking, I decided to walk you through the spreadsheet and the text. The title of this is Bank of America Loan in Oakland Raiders Las Vegas Stadium SNTIC Model shows $27 million annual operating loss, okay? And basically, in the original Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee staff model, the organization, the SNTIC, staff presented it to the SNTIC on July 11th, 2016. And the document that they issued reported that of the $264 million in expected total annual stadium revenue for the planned NFL Oakland Raiders UNLV facility, 11.7% was retained by the stadium operator, or $31.14 million per year. That's page 16 of the SNTIC document. You see the link there, but I'm going to take you to where it actually is. As you can see, that's page 16, okay? And there's 11.7%. This is the SNTIC document total. NFL represents the Raiders, and of course, Virginia team share revenue and so on. And this is event revenues, all right? But of these revenue totals, there's 11.7% for stadium operations, all right? And of that, we have of non-event related revenues. What are non-event revenues? There's naming rights, catered events, team online sales, advertising and sponsorship, facility tours, non-team game day sales. Now, these are SNTIC numbers, all right? Now, you can see of naming rights, for example, the total is 7.38, in other words, $7,380,000 over a 30-year period, or about $220 million naming rights deal over a 30-year period, right? All right? Those are non-event revenues. The stadium operator retains 27% of all non-event related revenue, with the most significant source being advertising and sponsorships, okay? Now, then they had the operating cash flows here, all right? They have event rent, facility fees, suites. Now, the total event revenue is $31,144,115, right? The operating total non-event revenue is $10,321,094. Annual operating expense, $21,537,313. Net operating income, $19,927,336. Debt service, $12 million. They never really explain where that came from. Capital expenditure, $2.5 million. Total debt service and capital, $14.5 million, okay? Free cash flow, just $5,427,000. So, what if we parked the Bank of America loan into this with some adjustments, all right? That is where we come to here, all right? And that's the text, but this is the actual new document. This is not what I presented before that was a 30-year extrapolation, all right? This deals specifically with stadium operations revenues. So you see the same numbers that are in the SNTIC model appear here, right? For total annual event revenue, total annual non-event revenue, right there. They look familiar. And then there's your total stadium revenue for that's used for stadium operations. And this is your operating expenses from SNTIC Doc, all right? There. And then of course here is your stadium net operating income right here, okay? So, then we've got an adjustment. This is debt service and capital. Debt service in the SNTIC model is here, all right? Okay, that's, excuse me, went too far there. Oops, excuse me, I had set that at originally $12 million, okay? So let's go back and put that 12 million in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, 12 million, all right? And then let's go back and adjust, because I had taken out the rent before, adjust the calculation here. So we got a B5 sum. It was actually supposed to be B6. So I'm going to change that to B6. Like, excuse me, B6. Like so, like that. All right. And we go down here. And then we make another adjustment for the total that we took out where we waived the rent originally. So we're going to put the rent back in. I'll explain that there. And we add the rent back in there. All right. So we do that, and we get to the negative 27,072,000. Now let's work backward. You would say, what was I doing when I took out the rent? Well, the Oakland Raiders submitted a lease proposal where they had taken out rent. Now, in this document, the SNTIC document, rent, event rent and facility fees. They say event rent was $9 million. Facility fees, $4.245 million, right? But let's just take out, because they never determined whether event rent was what the Raiders pay, or is it facility fees? What is it? But let's just take out 8.9 million. If we took out 8.9 million, that's where we got into the larger deficit of 36 million. Now it's at 27 million, all right? So we added that back in here, okay? And then, but let's see what happens even if we take out this original debt estimate and just leave Bank of America. Let's say we put this at 0, right? It's still 15,072,104, right? That's what happens if we take out the debt service from the SNTIC model. And you would say, where is that, Zenny? That is here. Go back here. This is the debt service, right? There, okay? And there's the capital expenditure, all right? So the point that I'm making with this exercise and the spreadsheet that I made here is actually a Scrib. The spreadsheet that I made here is also a model on Scrib, which you can see over here. Not here, but over here, excuse me, in this area, right there. Okay, that's the hard online version of it. If you want one where you can play with the estimates, I'm happy to send it to you. Just send me a Twitter ping or email to zenny@zenny62.com. I'm happy to send it to you. So, right, this is the Scrib sheet, and that's the base estimates with, you can see the 27 million and the numbers. The point of this exercise is to show how you have to, basically what you have to do is you would have to go up to take out, basically, in order to cause this to properly balance, you would have to basically use that annual $22.1 million of suite revenue that the Raiders would normally collect. You would have to dedicate that to the debt, or some combination of these revenues. That's a lot that the Raiders would give up. Now, if the Bank of America, let's say the Bank of America said, okay, we'll do a trade with you, right? That means that that the Raiders don't get any naming rights revenue at all for a trade. Now, they give up servicing the loan debt at $32 million, but the bottom line is they don't get any naming rights revenue, and Bank of America will want so much of the stadium space covered that then the question becomes, how much in terms of revenue can UNLV generate from its sponsorship agreements? Okay, that's a huge question. So you would say, all right, how to solve this? How would you solve this? Well, do you add more suites? If you add more suites, then the question is, can the market absorb the additional suites? All right. You would say, what does this break down to? Well, let's go upstairs. Excuse me. Let's go downstairs. It says, because it says it right here. Premium suites 70, party suites 30, club seats 6,000. That's not a lot. But if you add more to increase the revenue, will they pencil out? That's the question. And even if they do pencil out, in other words, how many more do you need to basically break even, and how many do you need to go above that? And this says if your occupancy rate 70%, that's basically 100 suites. 100 suites, 70%. Can they sell more than that? Considering the suite revenues that we see there, that's another question. So the bottom line is that the Bank of America loan pushes, which creates this negative annual free stadium operating cash flow. That's here right now, right? If we add in that $12 million of debt that the SNTIC had, let's add it back because that was in the document. There, okay. When you have to get rid of that. And in order to do so, the Raiders have to give up a lot in another area just to make this deal pencil. And remember, these are not including the revenues that have to be made to cover off-site transportation infrastructure costs. This is just internal to the stadium with the debt. It spells a bad deal. And you say, how do you clean up this? You have to do it with ancillary development, outside development. Something else, too. This proves that Bank of America is simply another mouth to feed. You cannot escape having another mouth to feed when these stadium development costs are so high. So someone says, well, you know, a Fortress is another mouth to feed, so is Bank of America, so is Sheldon Adelson. Everybody's another mouth to feed. You cannot escape that in this scenario. You just can't. So stay tuned for Zenny62 for more. And if you're interested in the spreadsheet, so you can run the numbers yourself, please contact me. Thank you.